2 minutter før.
So
Vi fortsætter
you gonna
festen.
translate?
Yes.
Den næste samtale foregår på
but I read
engelsk.
but I read
Det
this in
er
English.
Esko
I
Tremayne,
read this in Danish,
som
but
bliver interviewet
Okay.
af Bo Tao Michaëlis.
But are you going to translate my words?
Værsgo.
No. It's only English.
Okay.
Excuse me.
We are
Just
ready.
Yes. Yes, we're on. Yeah. A hearty welcome to you in this cold weather. Sean Thomas is your real name, and you have written 2 novels which we could call new gothic crime novels. Isn't that the thing that is...
Gothic crime? Well, in England, I think we're calling it domestic noir.
Mystic?
Domestic noir.
Yes, but there's a lot of gothic in it. I mean,
There is a lot of gothic.
It's not like the woman on the train, for example.
It's not what the girl. No.
No, it's not like that. Okay.
There's a very subtle hint of possible supernatural, very slightly, not too much. They aren't ghost stories, but there's a ghostly element within them.
There's ghostly elements, yes.
Yeah.
They are rather moody, so to speak.
Very
Very
moody.
moody,
Very
yes.
moody. I hope so. Yeah.
But they are scary in some way. But please, Sean, can't you tell a little about your book? Because I always have this habit not to say too much, that the writer himself or herself will tell a little about the plot, the story, what's going on. Of course, not telling about the solution or...
I won't do any spoilers, no. But
no, any spoilers, no.
The first book I've written under different names. This was a new genre for me. This domestic noir ghost thing, and Faldet. This one, which is the Ice Twins in English. I'm very happy to say it was a big hit. It was #1 in the UK and big in Germany and Denmark. And
yes.
Anyway, I was very lucky. It was very successful. And it was only, there's a reason why I think it was successful, which I'll explain to you. It's about twins, identical twins, where one twin dies, and you join the book about a year after the death of one of these twin girls in an accident. And when the parents suddenly, the girl who is alive, Kirsty, and her sister was called Lydia, suddenly starts claiming that she is Lydia, the other twin, and they misidentified the dead twin. The twins are identical. And the mother starts panicking, thinking, my God, is she right? Is this Lydia or is it Kirsty who died in the accident? And they don't know. They realise there are no tests they can do. The twin was cremated. And so the rest of the book unfolds from that, this terrible dilemma as to which twin is alive. Or is she possessed by the soul of her dead twin? And all these ghostly elements then fold in. Though it is a real life story, it isn't actually a ghost story. Now the reason I say this, the reason this relates very personally to me, this is going to sound a bit weird and shocking, but 11 years ago, I discovered that I was about to have 2 daughters by 2 different women within 2 weeks of each other. And you can walk away now if you want to. It was not planned. Everybody was very friendly. It was just a busy year. It was a busy... and it was a total shock. And both these women decided to have these daughters, who I love dearly. I love them. And one is in Australia, and one is in England. One's called Lucy, one's called Ruby. And so they were born 2 weeks apart, and half sisters. And they grew up, because they were so far apart, Australia and England, they never met each other until about a year ago. So I would say to Lucy, you've got a half sister. And she would say, have I really? I've never met her. It was like a ghost to her. And the same for Ruby in Australia. I would say to Ruby, the fewer times I saw her, I say, you've got a sister in England. And she would say, no, I haven't, I can't really. And I'd show her a picture and she wouldn't really understand. But she was 5 or 6, children at that age. But the weird thing is that writing The Ice Twins, it was only after the end of the first draft that I then realised, my God, I've been writing my own story. I've been writing about sort of twins who can't see each other. In the book, one is dead. In reality, they were just on the other side of the world. So the book really did come from my subconscious, I think. So in quite a powerful way. which I think gave the book that emotional power which made it a success, I think. I was writing my own story without realizing it.
Oh, that's scary.
It is a bit scary.
It's very scary.
Yeah.
It's a Freudian
Very
case.
Freudian.
A Freudian
It
case.
is. And the same things happened in the third book as well. I won't tell you. But
Okay.
it's not about kids, but there's a bit, but again, I've realised without using my own life without realising it. I think it happens to quite a lot of writers, but never quite as overtly as that.
What's the personal aspect of this?
In The Fire Child.
Yeah, the fire.
Well, partly it's my it's partly about it's set in my home county of Cornwall, which is a very beautiful coastal part of England, and it's about all these mines in tin mines in Cornwall where the tunnels go under the sea. The miners would have to climb down these awful mines. This is in the 18th, 19th century. Climb a mile down underground, then crawl naked for a mile down these tunnels under the sea to mine the tin. And this happened until about the 1920s. And my great-grandfather was in one of those mines. And so it's very personal in that way. But it's also personal. It's in the book. And there's another spooky child, a stepchild, who says to his stepmother, "You're going to be dead at Christmas. You're going to die at Christmas." And so she's... And I think this stems from my personal hatred of Christmas.
Oh, you hate Christmas?
We would always, my family was there was divorces, there was it was all chaotic,
Oh, yeah.
and we'd always have massive fights at Christmas.
Oh, okay.
And I think once my
It's not a white Christmas.
it was not a good Christmas. It was never a good Christmas in my. I think at one point my stepmother tried to stab me. It was that bad. And so I have this personal loathing of Christmas. So when I put a bit of that into that book as well.
Okay.
The Christmas, the increasing dread as it gets nearer, there's bound to be these drunken family arguments, So yeah, it's not quite as dramatic as the Ice Winds, but there is some personal element in there.
When I read your book, the first that fell into my mind, that was the classic novel by Daphne du Maurier, Rebecca, also known as a movie made by Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Isn't that some kind of inspiration? Rachel, isn't that ingenue, or probably an ingenue, who is meeting this wonderful guy with a lot of money, he has a manor house and so on, and then something...
That was a very deliberate homage, is the posh word, or plagiarism is the other word. But
it is homage.
It's homage.
We will use
I don't want to be
homage.
sued.
Yes.
But no, I think Daphne du Maurier is a fantastic writer.
Fantastic.
A wonderful writer. And the weird thing is about her writing is that she wrote crime fiction and she got terrible criticisms that all, if you read her, at the time she was regarded as being a useless pulp fiction
Is that
writer.
true?
That's
I
actually
didn't know.
true, yeah.
Okay.
And she never got a good review in her life.
Is that...
It's amazing, yeah.
It's amazing.
It's absolutely amazing.
It's a shame.
It's a shame. And even at the age of 84, she was saying, I feel aggrieved about this, that I was never given any, honour or respect. And of course now everybody accepts that she's a classic writer, one of the great writers of English, fiction of that sort. So so she's an inspiration in that way, I think, to crime writers.
And also I thought about Charlotte Brontë and Jane Eyre.
What's that?
Jane Eyre.
Of course, yes. The big house, the posh guy, the slightly, the hint of murder. Yeah, there's several elements of English literature woven into that.
All that jazz, And now I have this question: is that why you're not using your real name, but S.K. Tremayne? It has a female tone to it, hasn't it?
I'm going to say something controversial now. It's because it's deliberately gender neutral. This name.
Yes.
So you can't tell whether it's a man or a woman.
No, Tremayne. There's a female writer, Tremayne. There is a British female.
Rose Tremayne.
Yes.
Yes. But the thing is, certainly in the UK, and I'm not sure if it's the case here in Denmark, women constitute 70% of fiction.
That's the same thing. That's the same thing here.
Same here.
Yeah.
My editor's a woman. My agent's a woman. My American editor's a woman. Publishing is dominated by women completely. Yes. And the biggest selling writers, J.K. Rowling, E.L. James,
women,
Paula Hawkins, all women. And when we were coming up with this new genre, my agent said to me, "Change your name so that it doesn't sound like a man." Okay. I said, "Fine, okay, I don't mind." And that is my grandmother's maiden name. I am Cornish. It's a Cornish name, Tremayne, but the SK means nothing. So it's deliberately pitched. This is the way of the world. It's deliberately pitched to be, it could be a man or a woman. And you increasingly find this phenomenon I don't know if you know a book called Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson.
Yes.
He did that for exactly the same reason. He changed his name to a gender-neutral name.
Yeah.
There's a new book called Woman in the Window.
Yes.
Massive, big bestseller. And he did the same. He's changed his name from a man's name to initials. Yeah. It's because women, you know...
In a way, it's very logic.
Yeah, but it's a strange irony because, of course, 200 years ago, women had to pretend they were men. Like George Eliot.
Yes.
It's a huge turnaround in publishing that women had to pretend they were men. Now men have to pretend they're women. Yeah. So So I'm basically a woman now.
And I know that Jane Austen was the first female writer.
Exactly, yes.
Because Zachary told her, well, you have to write on your manly name or find a manly name. But she managed. And one could say that we have writers that are writing about women, like Gustave Flaubert and Tolstoy. Yeah. And why the hell shouldn't a man write about
And I've had I don't want to say I'm complaining too much. I'm very lucky to be. I love writing, and I'm very lucky. But I had bloggers complaining that I was defrauding them by pretending I was a woman.
Okay.
Okay. Well, then so did George Eliot. Was she a fraud? It's ridiculous. But all I care about is that people buy them and hopefully enjoy them.
Yes, of course. Yes. Okay. How do you start your working? Do you plotting? Of course, I know you just told us that you have your inner inspiration or your Freudian case.
Sometimes.
But as a craft or a skill as well, you have to have a plot. Do you start writing or do you plotting before you...
God, yeah, plotting. I don't know if you know the English comic writer P.G. Woodhouse.
Yes, very much. Very popular in Denmark.
I love his work. He's a hilarious writer. And he would say that plotting was by far... He would spend literally 3 or 4 months plotting a book. Plotting, and then 1 month writing.
Okay.
And I understand that. It's the hardest part by far is the plotting. Is nailing down the narrative. I know there are some writers. I think Lee Child is one of them. Yeah. There's a book about him about how he writes. It's just come out. It's very good. It's a wonderful book. You should see it. By Andy Martin. Yes. He sat behind Lee Child and watched Lee Child write a thriller. Yeah. And Lee Child literally sits down, lights a cigarette, has a coffee, and then just writes without anything. See what comes. Most writers don't do that.
Oh.
It's like Mozart. Mozart could do that. Just sit down and write. But for most writers, humble writers, you have to sit down and you've got to plot that book, and it's really, and the blood comes out of your eyes and all that stuff.
But they say that it was the way that Georges Simenon did it.
It's what?
Georges Simenon.
Yes.
He was a very fast writer.
Yeah.
And he could make. He totally could make a novel in a fortnight.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Are they any good? I've never read any. I don't know.
He wrote over 100 novels.
I know he did.
And of course, some of them are better than
okay. But it couldn't all be War and Peace.
But he made a lot of money.
Yeah, but generally it takes me about a month to plot a book, or 2 months. And in fact, it's a good sign. The shorter it is, the quicker I plot it, the better it is normally. Yes. The Ice Twins I plotted in about a week. I'm just writing a new one now, and I plotted it in about a week. So I'm hopeful that that's a good sign. If it really flows, the plotting, then usually the book is better, I think. So, but it's always hard work.
It's hard work. Yes. How did you create your female hero, Rachel? How did you create her? What kind of woman is she?
Well, how do I create my female character?
Yes.
I don't really create them. It's a voice.
It's a voice.
It's a voice.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't change their attitudes because they're women. We're all human beings, And I don't consciously think I must write as a woman and worry about different things, And I just speak as a human being and how human beings react. And you always know, you can tell from the first few sentences whether you got the voice right or not. And there's books I've written that I haven't published years ago where the voice was wrong. And it just doesn't ring right. It's unbelievable. You can tell. You can pick up a book. I think in the first paragraph you can know whether the voice is right.
The voice is right. What does that mean? The voice
whether it sounds authentic. It sounds like someone really talking to you, someone plausible, someone likable, hopefully. Classic kind of thriller situation. But before that, there was a woman with a secret concealed, maybe from herself. by amnesia, these classic techniques, drunk. But this is quite common, the unreliable narrator.
Yes.
The girl on a train, she's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
The woman in the window,
exactly.
she's agoraphobic. And
they all have
they have a reason to be slightly disconnected.
Yeah. Well, the time's running up, gentlemen. Thank you for
good
conversation.
So
short but well.
And thank you.
Tak til Tremayne og Michaëlis. Det er sådan, at Tremayne, han går over i bog- og idéstanden lige om lidt og signerer